In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, and may the peace and blessing of Allah be upon His last and beloved Messenger Muhammad, and may the peace and blessing of Allah be upon you all. The title of this video is, why does Allah, God Almighty, punish people for their injustice? The title once again, why does Allah, God Almighty, punish people for their injustice? Now, as an introduction to this video, this is the way of Allah, God Almighty, the methodology of Allah, since the creation of Adam, peace be upon him, until the day of the resurrection, that any person or a community, when they do injustice to others, at the end, Allah, God Almighty, sends calamities onto them, like, for example, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions. These kind of what people think about as natural disasters. They are not natural disasters. They are means that Allah God Almighty uses to end the existence of a person or a group of people. So the question posed in this video, what is the reason behind this? What's the wisdom of Allah God Almighty in doing this? And this we can see all the time, this kind of methodology of Allah God Almighty. Now, what is the reason? What's the answer? The book that contains all the answers for these questions is the last revelation to people, the Quran. And by pondering upon the verses of the Quran, we can know the answer to any question that you may ponder upon. And Allah Almighty urges us in the Quran to ponder and reflect upon matters, and not just follow things blindly, to ponder and reflect. So the answer to this question, what is the wisdom, what's the reason of Allah Almighty for sending calamities like sending hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes onto people to end their existence on this earth? If you ponder upon verse number 88 of chapter which is entitled Naml in the Quran, where Allah states the following, translations the following: and you see the mountains and think them solid, but they pass away as the passing away of the clouds. The manufacturing of Allah, God, who perfected all things. Verily, He is well acquainted with what you do. So this is a verse in the Quran. Now, if we ponder upon this verse, we realize that Allah, God Almighty, gives us the similitude of His creation to a process of manufacturing, the manufacturing of Allah. So Allah tells us that the process of creation is like a manufacturing process. And any manufacturing process needs a manufacturer. And the manufacturer is Allah God Almighty. And any manufacturing process, there are products. So you as a human, you are a product. And let me explain this further. It's also stated in the Quran that Allah assembled you together. In whatever form Allah willed, He assembled you together. And if you think about it, any process of manufacturing, it's an assembly process. You have individual components which are assembled together to produce the final product. You as a human, if you think about your bones, you see them that are separate bones assembled together by Allah God Almighty to create a skeletal system. Likewise, the muscles and the skin, you are an assembled product, assembled of individual components, tissues like skeletal bone tissue, muscle tissue, nervous tissue. So you are, as Allah describes in the Quran, you are assembled together, and we can think about this, that you are a product of a manufacturing product of an assembly process. Now, what this leads us to is that, suppose, let me give an example, and for Allah belongs the best of examples. Suppose that you are an engineer who designed and manufactured a car, let's say. Now this car, when you designed it and you manufactured it, you wanted a certain function from this car. For example, when you ordered the car to go right, it should go right, it should obey you and do what is do something which is useful and good. Suppose now this car, after you manufactured the car, you ordered the car to go right, it went left. It started killing people. It started doing more harm than good. Now, what would you do as a designer? The first thing that you do, you try to fix the car. Now, if all of this fails, your attempts to fix the car, the logical thing that you will do, you will stop the car from functioning. You will destroy the car because it's doing more harm than good. You would, for example, deassemble the car. You will destroy the car. In essence, you'll stop it functioning. Keep that in mind, and let's apply this to the way of Allah God Almighty in sending revelations. Now, Allah, as I said, He's the creator, the designer, the manufacturer. So you are as a product. Allah God Almighty wants certain things from you, and He wants you to do good. Now, suppose that, and we know that the majority of people, they are not following the guidance of Allah God Almighty, and they are doing more harm than good, killing people, doing injustice, raping women. Now, what Allah does, that He sends guidance, He sends revelation, and prophets and messengers, in an attempt to fix this product. You as a product, as a human, as a product, Allah wants to fix you and put you on the right path. Now, if all of this fails, you are hearing about the guidance of Allah God Almighty, you ignore it, you have prophets and messengers, you ignore them. If all of this fails, then the logical thing to do is to stop the existence of this human, because he's doing more harm than good, and he's spreading mischief in the land. So I hope, now from an engineering point of view, we can understand the wisdom of Allah Almighty in sending means like hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, to end the existence of people. So, brothers and sisters, what people think about these kind of phenomena, they think about like nature and the wild nature. It's nothing of the sort. It is the way of Allah Almighty in sending messages to people and ending the existence of a person or a certain group of people when they are going against His guidance and doing injustice and killing people. So, and to understand the wisdom behind this, if you link it to a manufacturing process and a product, if the product is doing more harm than good, is not doing the commands that you designed it on it, then the best thing is to end this product. That is the best thing to do if the product is not doing what it's designed for. So, and the first thing that Allah Almighty, how to be saved? To go to the Quran, the last revelation of Allah to people, to understand what Allah wants from us in the Quran, and to start to implement that. And the first thing that Allah orders us to do is to deliver His message to people. What you are hearing now, what Allah Almighty tells us in the Quran, to show it to people and to educate people and to show them this guidance contained in the Quran. And to know more details about this topic, please visit my website at www.quran-miracle.com, and you can email me at zaidquran@yahoo.com, and may the peace and mercy of Allah be upon you all.